Romans chapter 13, verses 8 to 10. Owe no one anything except to love one another. For the one who loves another has fulfilled the law. The commandments, you shall not commit adultery, you shall not murder, you shall not steal, you shall not covet, and any other commandment are summed up in these words. Love your neighbor as yourself. Love does no wrong to a neighbor. Therefore, love is the fulfilling of the law. This is the word of the Lord. This reading follows on very well from our readings from the past Sunday, in which Christ in his conversation with the scribe spoke about the first and second commandments, loving God and loving one's neighbor. World leaders have been in Glasgow to talk about climate change and what can be done about it. This reading is especially for them, and it's also especially for us. This reading tells all of us and all of them what needs to be happening. That the law as they were given does not just actually apply to those specific sins mentioned in them, but they overarch the whole of what and who we are as a society. When we abuse our environment, when we cut down the rainforests in order to make luxury goods, which are not necessary, then we are committing adultery. We are raping the world we live in, and we are being unfaithful to the very God who created our world and to the very God who created us and loves us unconditionally. When we destroy habitats, we kill the plant and animal life that live there. We destroy human cultures which have lived in these areas for thousands of years. Is this not also murder? When we take raw materials and leave the land desolate, when we take fossil fuels and burn them and the carbon and methane released go into the atmosphere, creating global warming and flooding low-lying shorelines, are we not stealing for our own benefit from those people who live in these areas and whose livelihoods are now destroyed? And everything I have described up to now represents selfishness and greed, which the Bible calls covetous. Where is the love of God and our neighbor in all of that? In fact, if we can go so far as to say that we are sinning against God and our neighbor, if we do not start doing something about climate change. And that doing something means we need to change the habits of generations. Since humans walk the earth, we have been changing our environment to suit our wants and needs. Much of what we did in the early days, we did out of ignorance. Even into the Industrial Revolution, much of what we did because we did not understand the consequences. However, recently, I read that there were smoke wardens walking the streets of places like Birmingham in the late 19th century. This tells me that we, 130 years ago, knew we were having a detrimental effect on our environment. People knew then that too much smoke was not healthy. We knew about the ozone hole over the poles in the 1970s and 80s. We knew there were less icebergs in the North Atlantic than before. Something was happening then, but we closed our eyes and we continued to murder our planet. But here we are in the 2020s, and we are still just talking about what we should do. Bells were rung for the start of COP26. We were thinking of ringing the bells at the end of the summit as well, on the 12th. I wonder if we should muffle the bells because not enough was done or decided. If we all do something, then we can start making a difference. Many little things add up to big things. What difference does me doing something make? Well, this is no longer a legitimate response. We all need to do more. Our governments need to incentivize the doing of more. And our governments need to lead the way. Lots of people are upset and angry about where we are at the moment. But where will we be in 20, 50, or 100 years' time? Yes, we need to be thinking that far ahead. We need to be thinking that far ahead now, not in 2030, because now is already too late. Do we really love God and our neighbor? Well, let's show it by doing something. Let's show it by talking about it. Loving God and our neighbor means we do not agree with raping, murdering, stealing, and coveting our earth. Loving God and our neighbor means loving our world and our environment right now.